Hi everyone, we are from Group 1. Okay, before we further on, let me explain about my group member. Uh, Firstly, I'm sorry for voiceover because I'm having a speech problem. Okay, my group 1 is about child abuse. Let me introduce my group members, which is Muhammad Ilyas, myself, and then followed by Prema, Nazmi, Nurul Hazwa, Loshini, Muhammad Alif, and finally Gavia Rasi. We're going to present about child abuse. Please be with us to further on our dis- discussions.
In this slide, I will touching about introduction of child abuse. Okay, there are five main things that I will talk about on this slide, which is foundation of Malaysia, managing social issues, child abuse in focus, proposed approach, and also final one, reports aim. When you talk about foundation of Malaysia, where we know Malaysian societies is built on tolerance, which reflected on Rukun Negara principles. The other one is when you image problems like child abuse, drug education, no addiction, the environmental pollution, all this reflect deeper systematic and moral breakdowns that happens in the country. The third one is when we focus on child abuse, raising child abuse cases in Malaysia, where UNICEF Malaysia 2021 highlighted the flaws in education, a legal system, and child protections, where they also emphasize that solutions required like moral and legal reforms rooted in Malaysia values. The other one is the approaches. The solution also must combine on these few approaches, such as philosophical reasoning, for example, like empiricism. And then the second one is the spiritual values, which emphasize the sanctity of life. The last one is the Rukunegara principle, such as like a belief in God and the rule of law. And the last one, which is the report's aim, where in this it will provide a structure analysis of issues with been using philosophical and national perspective. And the purpose of this solution is which aligns with the Malaysian culture and moral framework. Let's go for the next slide for further on. In this slide, I'll be talking about objective. Basically, it's about how this critical assess of like child abuse been using like Malaysian social problem, how they overcome it, in what form they crafted, what kind of specific recommendation have been did. So I'll be touching on four things, which is first one is philosophical analysis, national principle analysis, bridging theories and practice, promoting social awareness. When you talk about a philosophical analysis, it's kind of recommended three main things, which is we touch about Islam. In Islam, it's emphasized the sanctity of life and communal responsibility. For example, it will encourage a program in mosques for child protection and education. And when you talk about in Buddhist, it will highlight mindful and compassionate. For example, like develop school-based mindfulness practices to foster empathy and also reduce aggression. The last one is rationalism, where adequate for evidence-based policy making. For example, use data to research to inform child protection laws and social services. The next one, which is national principle analysis. This recommendation approach is based on mutual respects and good social behavior. Where when you talk about this, it will like kind of you launch a community driven campaigns to promote respects for the children's right, and also another way you educate the family on positive parenting practices. The second one is the rule of law, where you strengthen the child abuse reporting system and penalties of offenders, which improving by you can say by improving an announcement of existing child protection laws. Okay, the third one is belief in God. When you do this, you always collaborate with religious leaders to instill moral values that protects children. The third one, which is bridging theories and practice, This approach is a kind of link moral teaching from religions and logical reasoning to practical action, such as develop a culturally adapted workshop that teach parents about child abuse preservation, prevention, collaborate with NGOs and government agencies to establish accessibly families, counseling services. The other one is to ensure the law are not only too robust but also to enforce with efficiency and fairness. The last one, which is promoting social awareness, in this the approaches, it like create awareness campaigns using media and school to educate the public about child abuse. And the other one is frequent sharing survivor stories and accept insight to reduce stigma around reporting abuse, like such as introduce a child friendly hotlines and ensure the child know how to access to help. And the other one is encourage schooly discussions and community forum that incorporate rukun negara's values. So this is about objective. So furthermore on this child abuse, let us go to the next slide.
Hi, I'm Prema from Group 1. Definition of terms of child abuse. Child abuse, known as child endangerment or child mistreatment, refers to physical, sexual, emotional, physiological mistreatment or neglect of child, typically by parent or caregiver. Child abuse can set any action, inaction by caregiver or parent that leads to harmful for children, whether home, school, or where the child spends time. Abuse typically involves intention action, where neglect involves not taking action. Child mistreatment can involve intentional harm, not taking necessary action to prevent harm. Some experts include neglect in the definition of abuse, while others do not, due to differences in intention or cultural belief. The long-term impacts of child abuse and neglect, like emotional neglect and various forms of child abuse, also important consideration. WHO defines child abuse and mistreatment as any physical or emotional harm, sexual abuse, neglect, or exploitation causing harm to child health, survival, development, dignity within a relationship. Hi, I'm Prema from Group 1. Causes of the issue of child abuse. Neglecting a child if refers when parents or guardians doesn't provide essential needs like food, clothing, shelter, medical care, supervision, putting their health, safety, or well-being in danger. Neglect also defined as a lack of care, provision of necessary essential for child well-being, including attention, affection, support from those around them. Child mistreatment reported in 2010 indicate frequent school absence, begging, stealing, lack of medical care, poor hygiene, suitable clothes. Physical neglect is defined as not meeting the fundamental needs for safety and cleanliness in the living environment. Medical neglect is identified by failure to offer medical attention. Children who are ignored might experience setbacks in their mental and emotional growth, leading to potential physiological issues and difficulties with cognitive function such as decision making and memory.
Hello everyone, my name is Lushni and today I'll be explaining regarding the impacts or effects of the child abuse. So my first point is that economic cost. So how does child abuse affects or impacts the economic cost? First, increased healthcare expenses due to the medical and psychological treatment for the abused children and adults with long-term effect. Other than that, greater demand for social service including child welfare programs, foster care and intervention service. Other than that, long-term economic strain from the lower educational and employment opportunities for abuse survivors leading to reduced economic contribution. Mostly the survivors from the abused case, they tend to be like not very productive, and their social skill is not not on the normal person level, as they couldn't find a proper work or give a proper contribution to this economy. My second point is that the child abuse increase in crime and violence. This is due to abused children are more likely to perpetuate abuse and violent behavior later in life. This is creating a cycle of violence. A higher likelihood of becoming perpetrators or victim of violence, contributing to the social instability. So my third point is that health and social burden. Uh, Survivors face chronic health issues such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, and substance abuse disorders, overwhelming healthcare system, which burdens our health and social system. Social dysfunction in the form of isolation, mistrust, and difficulty forming a relationship among the survivors. So, other than that, it also impacts our educational system. My fourth point, educational impacts, which is lower academic performance, higher dropout rates, and reduced access to higher education for abused children. So this increased strain on schools to provide more additional resources such as counseling, special education service for affected children. So my fifth point, which is erosion of community well-being, is distrust and fear within communities due to the prevalence of abuse cases. This reduced social cohesion and collective growth in communities impacted by widespread abuse. So, my sixth point is generational impact. So, how does this impact the generation? The intergenerational trauma as abuse survivor may pass on maladaptive parenting styles to their children, perpetuating the cycle of abuse. The hindrance to upward mobilities with family facing the reduced opportunity over generation due to the effect of abuse. This is very common in current generation. Um, Certain traumas as for like the the career of women, for an example, the career of women or dressing style of women from certain families, their generational, like their grandmother or grandfather, they had a certain perspective which is more to traditional, and current generation are passing the trauma to our next generation, which is current generation. um, this child abuse, if it continues, this will impact upcoming generations, which affects our productivity as a society. So my next point is social stigma and marginalization. Survivors of abuse may face social stigma, making it difficult to seek help or re-integrate into the society. So this difficulty also difficult for law enforcement and social services in addressing the complex need of abuse survivors. My eighth point is efforts to mitigate social impacts. So, strengthening legal frameworks to protect children and hold perpetrators, pre- perpetrators accountable, which is promoting community education and awareness program about recognizing and addressing this child abuse. We also providing accessible counseling, rehabilitation, and support network for survivors and their families. So my last point is collective responsibility, which is child abuse is not just an individual issue; it's a social challenge requiring collective action to prevent harm and promote well-being of children and society as a whole. So how could we take this as an individual issue? Um, as a community, we should start this at our own family first. We should not contribute to child abuse in any form in our own family, and also we have to be like attentive towards our surroundings, our neighbors or our relatives. Whenever we as a person get to know regarding this child abuse, as a responsible um, as a responsible citizen, we are supposed to, I don't know, maybe address that to a police officer, or contact Talia Noor regarding this child abuse, or confront the parents, make them understand regarding this child abuse, which impacts or affects the society as well. So that's my point. I have done presenting all my points. So thank you.
Statistic: Child above case report recording 2240 case of child above up until August 2024. 2023 8041 case. Child above category include physical, sexual, and emotional. PKP years graph showing decrease of child above and a start of increase once the lockdown ends. 6144 such case in 2021, making a contest increase in child above. Reading summary: Breaking the child abuse in Malaysia, leaking mandatory report, service delivery, monitoring and review capacity in mentioned by Niku and Azam Janis. The child institution also cases of die among children. Moreover, fact that converted to child above are financial constraint, family crisis, mental illness, and influence of alcohol parents. There are 5 types child abuse happen in Malaysia, which is physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, negative, and abandonment. The architect considered that Victor version Malaysian society were playing important role, being the most author and agenda in dealing with child abuse in Malaysia. Reading summary: The purpose of this study was to show identity difficult and challenging of child abuse and negative case in emergency department in Malaysia hospital. The architect has classified how does the medical professional recover if the child responds weakening above. The sign of abuse is the inconsistency between parent story and their physical presentation of injury also will be observed. The concern, the architect, the hospital should have standard screening detection tool to help medical professional to identify childhood protection at risk of abuse. Reading summary: The article Safeguarding and Children Protection Policy by the Nexus International School discuss about the ethnic issue, how they're dealing with above their obsession and their action toward child above. Also safeguard. The school also mentioned that they have guarding to respond for child protection. Safeguard as protection measure take to limit direct and indirect collateral risk of harm to children.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nurul Azhar Shafika binti Zulkari. So let's start by looking at how different religious and philosophical principles emphasize the importance of child protection. In Malaysia, our multi-religious society strongly condemns any form of child abuse, and here are some key teachings from four major religions, which is Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Okay, first of all, in Islam, the Quran and Hadith emphasize kindness, justice, and care for children. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that kindness to children is a religious duty, and the Quran explicitly forbids harm to them, stating that do not kill your children out of poverty. We provide for them and for you. Okay, so next we have Christianity. Christianity also strongly upholds the welfare of children, which is in Matthew 19:14. Jesus said, let the little children come to me. The Bible promotes love and nurturing care as highlighted in Ephesians 6:4, which advise parents to raise their children in a spirit of love and guidance. Okay, the third is Hinduism. Okay, the Hindu philosophy of ahimsa or non-violence teaches care for the weak, including the children. So Hindu scriptures like the Manusmriti state that stress that caring for children is not just a duty but privilege, with neglect seen as immoral or sinful. Next we have Buddhism. Finally, Buddhism focuses on values like metta or loving kindness and karuna or compassion. Child abuse is seen as a break of the five precepts, which emphasize non-harming. So, Buddhist teaching encourage meditation and self-awareness to prevent harmful actions. So, these teachings remind us that child protection is not just a legal responsibility, but a moral and spiritual one shared by all faiths in Malaysia. Okay, now let's discuss the steps we can take to safeguard our children and create a safer environment for them to thrive. This effort requires actions at all levels, individual, community, and national. Okay, first of all, we have the address societal realities. Okay, first we need to acknowledge the challenges children face. Abuse often goes unnoticed due to the stigma, ignorance, or societal neglect. Recognizing these realities is the first step toward the changes. Secondly is promote education and awareness. We must educate the parents, caregivers, and the community. Awareness campaign can help people understand the importance of child protection and how to recognize the sign of abuse. Okay, next we have encourage collaboration, which is we have protecting children is not one person job. We need collaboration between the families, religious institutions, any NGOs or any government agencies. So organizations like this protect and save the children. Malaysia, we have the one already provide excellent examples of punishing in action. And then lastly, we have strengthen national policies. Okay, we must ensure that our laws are not only strong but also enforced. National policies should align with the moral principle of our society and ensure that children are safeguarded from harm. So, in conclusion, safeguarding children require collective efforts. As a society, we must ask ourselves, are we doing enough? Every child deserves a safe and loving environment, and it's up to us to make that reality. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm here to represent my friend Mohammad Ilyas. This is because he's having a problem in speaking. Okay, the first slide that we're going to talk here is about types of child abuses in Malaysia. As you say, now when you talk about this child abuse, it becomes a critical issue which affects many children in Malaysia around the world. Where child abuse is not only harm children physically, but it also impacts their mental and emotional well-being. In this presentation, we will explore more on the types of child abuses prevalent in Malaysia and also propose comprehensive solution to address them. When you talk about types of child abuses in Malaysia, we have roughly around 6 types. The first one is, physical abuse, where this refer to international intentional actions that cause harm to a child's body. Example, which is including hitting, slapping, and other forms of physical force. In Malaysia, as you see, socio-economic stress and acceptance of physical disciplines are the major contributors to these issues, which also can lead a long term of psychological challenges for the victims. The second one, which is sexual abuse, which involve any sexual activity with a child, such as molestation and also exploitation. According to the AMSTOR data, most of the perpetrators are the relative or close acquaintance of the victim. Social stigma often discourages the victims from seeking help, worsening the problems. The third one, which is neglect. This only occurs when the caregivers fail to provide a child with a basic need such as food, shelter, and healthcare. In Malaysia, as you see, poverty and caregiver disability are leading causes of this neglect. When neglected children often suffer from delayed growth and other health issues. The other one is emotionally abuse, where this emotional abuse, which is also include action that harms a child's self-esteem or emotionally well-being, such as verbal aggression and rejections. In some culture contexts, family honor take precedence, leading to the dismissal and emotional abuse. However, this can result in severe mental health problems for the children. The other one is child labor. When you talk about child labor, it's not like denying the children their rights to education. It also safe childhood. It is often driven by poverty and also the need to support the family income. This perpetuates to the cycle of the poverty and abuse. Which you talk about cyber abuse. When you talk about cyber abuse, now in current state with with more advancement of this technology, the abuses has extended to the online platform, where cyberbullying and exploitation are major concerns. Educating a children about online safety is a crucial to preventing this form of.
Hello, my name is Alif. Now I want to present about a group reflection on the issue. The assignment we have on children abuse highlight how it disrupts children overall development, conflicting with the value of our education system and the principle of Rukun Negara. Abuse often thrives in silence, leaving children in vulnerable environment. Tackling this issue require a mix of education, ethics, and policy to address root causes like poverty and ignorance. By doing so, we can create safer spaces for children and foster a society built on justice and care. A group reflection on the assignment. We as a group found the topic of children abuse emotionally overwhelming. The more we learn, the more heartbroken we become, especially knowing that even today advanced world, we fail to protect the most vulnerable. It makes your question how society, despite in progress, can overlook the basic need to ensure children are safe. The pain and trauma inflicted on children should unite us all to push for stronger law and greater awareness, not just a moral obligation, but as a duty to protect future generations.
Let's go to the next slide. When you talk about our next slide, it talks about solution to the addresses the child abuse in Malaysia. When you talk about this, uh, let us go deeper. We need a kind of multi-faceted approaches where, if you see, we have five approaches which we can in Malaysia been used. The first one is legislations and policy enforcement. We're strengthening existing laws, which means the current laws, such as Child Act 2001 and the Sexual Offence Against Children Act 2017 is a vital. We need a better enforcement and sensitive handling of cases by authorities. The second one is awareness and education. When you talk about this, public awareness campaign can be educated communities on recognizing and reporting abuses. The other one is the schools should integrate children protection education into their curriculum. When you talk about support services, in this, mostly they will provide accessibility supports such as hotline and counseling centers, and it is much more essential. These services must also equipped to handle all type abuse effectively. The last one, which is community engagement, it's a it's a process that engaging communities through parenting classes and also support groups can foster healthy family dynamics. The last one but not least is the collaboration with the NGOs. When you talk about this, partnering with the NGOs will also enhance resources and also bring an outreach efforts for the vulnerable children. The next slide touch on the religious perspective on the solution. We have four religions in Malaysia, so let's go deeper to see what four religions emphasize. The first one, when you talk about religious, is Islamic. Islamic always emphasize child protection and communal responsibility, where for them, promoting community supports and education aligns this principle. The second one is Christianity. Christians' teaching always stress love, protection, and moral responsibility towards children, where in churches they initiative a counseling services which can play a significant role to overcome this. The third one is Hinduism. In Hinduism, it always highlight family and community bonds, where culture programs and also moral education can be strengthened child protections. The last one is Buddhism. When you talk about Buddhism, it always encourage compassionate and mindfulness, where a lot of programs been involved, like promoting mindfulness and also community compassion, which can reduce abuse cases. So furthermore, let's go to the next slide. The next slide is a connections of to national principles with with the lines of these child abuse cases. Okay, when you talk about national principle, which is Rukun Negara, we have five. The first one, the principle of belief in God. In this, it supports religious teachings and also emphasize child protection. The second one, which is the loyalty to the king and country, reflects on the importance of the safeguarding our nation future by protecting these children. The third one, which is the rule of law, ensure justice for victims through strong enforcement of child protections law. The fourth one is good behavior and morality. When you talk about this, it encourages technical parenting and also respect for the children. The last one, which is unity. When you talk about unity, it always calls for the collective action across the communities and families to address the child abuses. Let's go for the next slide. Furthermore, about these details.
As we can all conclude, let us reflect on a bigger picture where protecting children is not just about preventing harm to an individual, but is moreover about upholding the values and also bind our society together. When we safeguard our children, or even our children, we nurture them a pure and vulnerable, creating a society that is compassionate, united, and also safe for everyone. This is not just a responsibility of a parents or of families, but it's collective effort. When you talk about collective effort, it's every individual, every community, and our entire nation must come together to ensure that every child has opportunity to grow and thrive and live free from abuse. Let us also remember that protecting our children it's a moral duty, a societal responsibility, where a commitment to the future. Together we can create a world where every child feels loved, cared, and protected. In another word, we also can say child's protection is everyone's business, everyone's responsibility. So let us work hand in hand to build a safer and brighter future for all of our children. Thank you.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Kaima Lata Anak Perempuan Balakrishnan and also Madam Nick Soleha Benti Nikjit. Without both of your guidance, we are unable to complete these courses and also this project. Beside that, I would like to take this opportunity also to thank my fellow friends. Thank you all for your great, incredible dedication and hard work on this presentation. Each of you brought a unique strength and also insight to the table, and it was very a pleasure collaborating as a team. Your support, creativity, and attention to detail thoroughly made this project a success. I'm once again very grateful for the effort all of you had put in, and I look forward to working together again in future. Thank you once again.